Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Allow me to first introduce our guest of honor, Sam, who is the president of José Andrés Group in the United States and board member. Thanks for joining us from LA. For those in the room who are not familiar with José Andrés Group, this group owns 38 different restaurant concepts, but very interestingly as well, a media company, a consumer line product, and a non-profit organization. I think, Sam, to give a little bit of context to the audience, shall we watch the reel?
Please.
Awesome. Shall we play the José Andrés Group reel, please? Fantastic. So, Sam, please introduce yourself to the audience and the role that you play at the group.
Thank you, Ada, and thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I think Riyadh was missing from my video. That's the only city. But I run José Andrés Group, focused primarily on restaurants. We launched a media company 2 years ago, producing content, and we have a consumer products division. There also is a nonprofit called World Central Kitchen, which is outside of my purview, but again, all under the umbrella of the spirit of José Andrés Group.
Fantastic. And just for the audience as well, it is a personal pleasure to have Sam with us today because I actually worked for the group for 2 years in Washington, D.C. So thanks to José's vision, my career started in the luxury hospitality world. So from that time where I was with you, to today, you have driven the company through massive growth. And from what was a restaurant group, today you own all of these different business units that really contribute to that vision of José to changing the world through the power of food and through telling amazing stories of food to the world. Can you tell us a little bit about how all of those pillars live together as part of the brand?
Listen, food is culture. There was a comment that the panelists made in the F&B panel said, Saudi is very hospitable. And the hard work has been done. When you have a culture that is hospitable, it's in their DNA. And you know, if you come and visit me in Los Angeles and you tell my 82-year-old father, you know, I have guests from Saudi visiting, he will never take you to a restaurant. He'll bring you into his home and he'll cook for you. And that's the culture, because sitting around the table having a plate of food brings people together. And if you talk to any culture, they take pride in their food. And it's the pillars of food, fashion, art, music, sports, which bring people together. Over 30 years since you were there, when José launched this company, the whole goal was storytelling around food and using what food can do to bring people together. And the nonprofit, for example, Jose does God's work, and he's there feeding people in need, feeding people in distress moments, where there's war, where there's hurricanes, earthquakes, fires. His group shows up and they feed people. It's about the humanity of it, and that's where it starts, and that's where it ends. What we do is I took the essence of this halo of food as culture, food as humanity, and looked at the content we were producing. Over 20 brands were built. Incredible storytelling of all walks of life, not just Spanish cuisine. There's Chinese, Peruvian, there's Mexican, there's Mediterranean. And I looked at this and said, look, there's a flywheel, because our restaurant guests are the same people who carry a phone and watch the show on CNN or the new show on Amazon Prime. So how do I convert restaurant guests into audience members, and then convert them into consumers who purchase the products? That was, in my simple mind, it's still the same paella valenciana. You can either get it through Mercado Little Spain at Hudson Yards in New York, watch it on the show Jose and Family in Spain, or purchase the paella kit into your home. And what that does is it brings that culture of Spain, for example, to use one simple example, into your home, onto your screen, and an experience with your friends and family.
That's fantastic how you move audiences across. And I think that actually brings a lot of commercial value as well. Obviously, if we take the role of an operator and how that contributes to businesses, but that also how it contributes to building community, right? Which is something quite important for you. I think what would be interesting is to understand how you've taken this B2C model that is very focused on the audience now from an operator's perspective, and how it benefits hotel groups, destinations, and brands.
Very simply, when we go into a hotel, and that's our primary channel of growth, hotel and retail, but hotel is a perfect example. I was having a conversation. We run all the food and beverage of the Ritz-Carlton in New York and Nomad. And it was a brand new Ritz that opened a couple years ago. We came in and have 2 restaurants and 2 lounges in that Ritz. We led all the design. And when Tony Capuano was in the audience talking about the Ritz, he referred to it as the 2.0, the future of the Ritz-Carlton brand, where I approached them and said, look, if you're trying to attract a younger, more affluent demographic, allow us, respectfully, to come in, lead the design, lead the culinary innovation. And what does that result in? For the hotel owner, 2 things have happened. One, it's become a destination for locals. And our Zeytinya, our Greek, Lebanese, Turkish concept in the ground floor, street level at 28th and Broadway, that restaurant, there are locals that come 2 to 3 times a week. They love the cuisine, they love the experience. It's elevated, but it's very approachable. And the second thing that happened was it became this unbelievable experience for the hotel guests, which in turn allowed Marriott to push the room rate for that Ritz. And regularly, they're getting $1,000 ADR. It's still 28th and Broadway, which is the joke I make to the owners. I'm like, let's not forget who our neighbors are. Wonderful location, but the neighborhood's up and coming. What we love is we became part of the fabric of the community, both for locals and now people who travel to Manhattan seek our hotel out because they know they can grab this incredible experience with the Bazaar signature restaurant, go to our rooftop Nubalus with these incredible views and experience. That's the dual approach that we take with hotels. We did that at Conrad LA, which was on the video. Frank Gehry designed that building in partnership with Tara Bernard, who did all our interiors. South Beach, we just opened at the Ritz down there. So that's really the element of let's invest in the community, and then it benefits the hotel guest, ultimately the hotel owner and the developer.
Fantastic. Let's dive deep a little bit into World Central Kitchen. And it is quite uncommon for a restaurant group to also own a nonprofit that does such amazing work globally to basically feed people in need. Now, we've talked about in the past about profit with purpose. Can you define that and what that means for José Andrés Group in the context of World Central Kitchen?
Absolutely. So I'm a volunteer. I'm a fan, but it is an entirely separate organization from our restaurant group. What I do love about this organization, World Central Kitchen, it was launched about 12, 15 years ago when there were hurricanes in Haiti and Puerto Rico. Over the past couple years, it's now entered war zones, first in Ukraine and most recently in Gaza. And the essence of the organization is exactly that, Ada. It's meant to feed people in need. In this day and age, you can't just have words on a website as your purpose. You have to walk the walk. And what I love about the organization personally is we never mention it in any of our restaurants. You won't find a QR code or any signage. And I have 2 teenage daughters. They're a lot cooler than I am, and a lot more plugged in than I am. And there's this level of sniffing out authenticity. When something is real, the younger generation gets it. And if it's manufactured and it's inauthentic, they see right through it. So for us, the halo of the company is this authentic purpose, this authentic mission, which is about food and the power of food and changing the world, as you know, our mantra. World Central Kitchen is part of it, where there is this nonprofit that feeds people. But the other part of it is community building. And people, you walk into our restaurants, you have all walks of life, whether it's the fast casual concept all the way to the 2 Michelin star concept. It is really a diverse experience that brings people together. People see through that. What I love about it as someone who runs an organization with 38 restaurants and 9 markets, we have 2,500 employees. It helps with retention and attracting talent. And for those of you in hospitality here in the region, I'm amazed and so blown away by what's happening, the innovation, the progressive nature of Saudi as a whole. This is really the center of the universe for hospitality right now. The biggest challenge, in my humble opinion, is talent. How do you build a culture of training, service, attracting people? The beauty is, again, the hard work has been done. It's already in the DNA of the people. You have people who understand it, people who live and breathe it. Now comes the systems and making sure that training comes. I had a meeting with a government official on my last trip to Riyadh, and I said, look, this isn't about attracting talent to Saudi. It's actually about training talent in Saudi and exporting it to the world. And that's the lens I look at it through. We have the great fortune where, as a brand that has an authentic purpose, people want to come train under us. They want to work under us. And we have food runners, we have cooks, bussers, who are now general managers, area directors. I have the luxury of moving people from city to city, country to country. Some people, our cook, who started as a cook, is now one of the senior people in IT. I'm like, you left cooking to join IT? I didn't understand that move. But that's the power of having this North Star, a purpose, benefits with respect to talent and recruiting as well.
That's very powerful. And last question, how do you think an organization like José Andrés Group could add value to Vision 2030 in Saudi Arabia?
Storytelling. I don't think there's any shortage of brands, and we're very fortunate, from fast casual to fine dining, but when you marry that with the storytelling of what our media division can do, I think my first 2 trips, I was mentioning this to a friend earlier, my first 2 trips to Saudi were last year. Those 2 trips, everyone would say, what are you looking for? I said, I don't know. What do you need? I'm like, I don't need anything. I'm here really to discover and learn and see this beautiful culture that I've heard about, throughout my life. What I realize is, when you look at the media and how the storytelling gets jumbled the minute it leaves the 4 walls of Saudi, it's really depressing to me. And in my humble opinion, you need to really shed light on the food and the culture, things that people love and agree. And the experiences that I've been fortunate to have, this being my 3rd trip here, if we can come in, yes, we have, exceptional restaurants that are on par with any of the amazing concepts that have come into this country. I think that has its place, but if we can marry that with the storytelling to create content, to get out there and share with the world what's happening with the progress that this country is leading the way, I think that's the combination that really differentiates.
I truly agree with you, and I've mentioned in the previous panel the concept of gastrodiplomacy and how Saudi as a country can leverage food to actually build on their national identity and on that perception that everyone has about the country. So thank you very much for being here
Thank
with
you,
us
Ada.
today.
Thank you, everyone.